Is that on the SEC network? Thank you. Appreciate that.
This team all year has been consistently able to hit for power. Kind of what's the approach been to allow for a number of different guys to take a jump in that area?
Wow. I think just guys having good years. Guys swinging it well, getting a lot of good swings off. I mean, certainly we got a physical lineup. I mean, you just look, at the bodies that go up there. But the biggest difference, I see is, we're better hitters than we were a year ago. Statistically, you're giving yourself, much better shots, and guys are getting, good swings off, confident swings, and that's a good mix.
Coach, obviously you have your own version of the nasty boys in the bullpen. What kind of a luxury is that to have that in college baseball? Guys that can keep you in a game or hold a lead?
Well, we've been fortunate for a few years now to be really good in the bullpen. And, certainly, as you mentioned, the luxury. But these guys, I think there's a little more depth and, some different looks. It's not the same guys. We don't have much of a left-handed look besides Fowler in the bullpen. But, with Kracie and Woolfolk, and if you just look at those two, in general, two really, power arms, and one's, kind of a lower three-quarter, shorter right-hander, one's almost straight over the top. So it's obviously benefited us a lot. We certainly saw that this weekend.
What kind of role did you envision Kracie having before the season started?
I don't know if I know that. Or have that answer. We knew that he's a strike thrower. He's going to fill up the strike zone with his fastball and slider. In the fall, his fastball got up to 95, but it was inconsistent. And I think part of that is he pitched a long summer, a very successful summer, but a long summer. And sometimes when you come out in the fall with the heat, it's just hard to be consistent. But we saw some spurts of this, just not as consistent as this. But now that he's been back out in the spring and I think fully rested and being out there, it's a tough position to get out there on that bump by yourself in front of 10,000 people and be able to perform, especially at the end of the game. Those last three outs are tough. They're a bear, and I think the other big thing that you don't know is the composure. Will they be able to perform the way they're capable of, and he has. He's just been lights out for us.
He said that the one thing that you and Laugh worked on with him was getting into his lower half. Like, what did y'all see that allowed him to kind of find that consistency with his lower half?
And again, I think some of it's just confidence, and I don't know if that's what was it in the fall, and I think sometimes when you work on things and then you start to have some of that success on the field, then that confidence starts to go, and that helps your rhythm, and I think a lot of it, with a pitcher is that, the rhythm, and why I think sometimes younger high school kids come in and they don't throw as hard as they did in high school immediately, and I think it's just the pressure, and they lose the confidence, they lose that rhythm, and once they find that rhythm again, the ball comes out better, and you can see that the ball's coming out for him as well as it can for anybody.
So what's his development been like from the first time he got here?
When you say, like, where was he and what is he now?
Yes.
Like objective
stuff-wise, consistency-wise.
The velocity was probably upper 80s and into the low 90s when he first got here. But he was what we thought he would be, an upper 80s guy that, threw the ball in the strike zone. But I think one of the things that, hurt Parker, along the way was being consistent. He'd have outings where you saw glimpses, maybe not of this, but a guy that maybe, was, I think that's why he's still in the program. That you saw glimpses of that. And but he was just too inconsistent. He's had some good falls here, but inconsistent January and February leading up to that time where you make the decision to make the 35. And I think, to me, that's the biggest difference. Velocity sometimes happens for people, and we just talked about that, and confidence and strength training and fundamentals and using your lower half, and a lot of different things you can add to that. But I think the biggest thing that we all see in Parker is that consistency. Each time he takes the ball and runs out on the field, and the thing that probably people haven't mentioned much, and it's probably because you haven't seen much of it. It's only a snapshot, as far as outings and whatnot. But if you look at him, even if you watched him on TV this weekend, just the composure. I mean, to be on the road and pitching in front of 6,000 to 7,000 people, and the pressure-packed game of the SEC, and he doesn't look any different than he looks like in an inter-squad game. And you look at his breathing, you look at just his demeanor around the mound. I mean, he looks, even after the game, you look at him, it's almost like they're all coming up hugging him, and he's almost struggling with that. He hasn't figured that part out. That's all right. That can come later. You just keep pitching the way you are.
Mike Chase said you guys worked with him to widen his stance after last season. How do you think he adapted to that in the fall? He kind of indicated it's taken a while for him to get used to it.
And really, if you look at his fall numbers, he struggled, at the beginning of the fall and played much better at the end of the fall for us. And but come spring, he swung it well. He had a really good January, February, early 3 weeks. And the thing that I think we've all noticed is just more balls in play. He's so strong. He's got tremendous bat speed, and not just power home runs, but just when he touches the ball and puts it into play, his hit percentage is really high. And he had that last year, but he got to a point where just striking out too much. So when we look at him this year, just putting more balls into play, even breaking balls, all speed pitches. And this weekend he got several hits, but several of the hits maybe weren't even line drives to the fence when you think of Chase Cockrell's hits. I mean, they're ground balls up the middle, and just him competing and being able to get. And I think that adjustment has allowed him to be able to put more balls into play.
Not just good moment for a good guy, but Fitzsimmons getting locked in without a lot of at bats, and then being able to come through there after.
Yeah, that was awesome. And we called on him. Michael was down in the bullpen helping out because we had 3 catchers that are all 3 in a game, and so he was helping one of the managers down in the bullpen. He comes down, takes his gear off, and we actually called timeout, but they come out for a mound visit. It was really for Coach Clement just to give him the scouting report on the pitcher, because when that pitcher came in, he wasn't in the dugout. He was down in the bullpen, and so. Not a lot of time to think, not a lot of time to warm up, but you're right. A guy that's the ultimate team guy, and a guy that you can tell how much his teammates care about him.